Today, I'm going to collaborate musically with a ghost. More specifically, I'm going to create music with this really weird and cool 1930s animated ghost. But on another level, we're going to collaborate with an amazing but often forgotten musician. So in this video, I'm basically going to take this old weird cartoon and try and come up with an arrangement around the vocal track. It's just going to be weird and fun, and I hope that the ghost of Cab Calloway likes it. If you don't know who Cab Calloway is, he's one of the most important musicians that you've never heard of. He was massively popular in the 1930s and 40s. In fact, he was the first Black American to sell 1 million records. He sort of bridged the gap between vaudeville, old style entertainment, and swing music, and just had this unstoppable force of nature, entertainment, charismatic vibe on stage. He caught the eye of some early animators, people that were innovating and making cartoons. And they wanted to film him doing his thing, singing and dancing, and then animate to his actual motion. So he is the inspiration for this character and also the voice of this character. Let's give credit where credit is due. Countless performers over the last 100 years have drawn inspiration from Cab Calloway. He had a huge influence on the beginning of soul music and rock and roll music. And also a lot of people think of him as one of the founders of hip hop as well. Undeniably has had a massive influence on modern music. And I think it's right that we remember him, honor him, and celebrate him in a weird way, because I feel like that's what he would have wanted. So without further ado, here is my version of St. James Infirmary Blues, featuring Cab Calloway's voice and the original 1930s animation. Here goes.
Folks, I'm going down to St. James Infirmary. See, everything's reached around my table. She's so sweet, so calm, so fair. Let her go, oh bless her. Wherever she may be, she will search this wide world over, but she'll never find another sweet man like me. Now when I die back in my straight leg bridges, put on a box back and a sunset eye, put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain so you can identify though I died standing there. Then give me 6 rap shooting pallbearers. Jenny Cars, girl, sing me a song. Hooray! Jazz band and pop band, sweet praise, hallelujah, as we go along. Folks, now that you have heard my story, say, boy, friends, you wanna shout that if anyone should ask you, then I'm on that those St. James Infirmary Blues.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how I made this if you're interested, if you want to stick around. So here's the original.
Sweet, so calm, so fair.
I ran it through some processing to isolate the vocal. I ran it through isotope, some tape delay, and some compression, which gives us this.
She's so sweet.
I extracted some of the vocal parts, ran them through a bunch of delay, and in context, so the hardest thing was the drums and the drum feel. And the way I worked around this, I was actually inspired by the original animation techniques that they were using. So Max Fleischer was the innovator that sort of figured out and cracked the code on how to make animation seem like real life. He was the person that figured out if you film real people in motion and use that as the reference for your animation, it's going to feel a lot more natural. So in the same way that the animators were using Cab Calloway's real motion as the reference for their animation, I decided to use Cab's orchestra as the reference for my rhythmic grid. So what I ended up doing is playing an 8th note tambourine pattern. But once I did that, I could include
go alone.
Drums feeling funky, so much of it has to do with the push and pull of the backbeat against the grid. And if there is no grid, we had to create one.
Now that you have heard my...
It was really important to me that this grooved still with him. The Ghost still looks like he's like an amazing dancer. That was my goal. Bass players out there, I know you're curious. I used the Snorlax bass. If you don't know what that is, I have a whole video about it. And I ran it through Spring Reverb on the Flint made by Strymon, and then I ran it through the Origin Effects bass rig. I used a pick, but I used the rounded part of the pick. I wanted to sort of make a hypnotic vibe that just repeats itself over and over again and just changes on the turnaround, which works with this sort of minor blues progression. I also had so much fun playing Moog on this, so I wanted to have something with some motion, sort of pitch bending, something spooky to go with this sort of like all these crazy flying animated ghosts in the background. It's like vibing with this owl snake creature. So the Moog is monophonic, but I ran it through a bunch of processing. I'm using the Echo Boy for some delay, and then vinyl, and I put some warp on it, which gives it a lot of this like weird, ethereal, lo-fi-ness. In context, by the way, I hope and I think that Cab Calloway would actually like what I did, because he seems like he had a pretty cool sense of humor and creativity and weirdness about him. In fact, the first time he saw himself animated, supposedly he fell on the ground laughing. Well, he seems like just such a interesting, strange, charismatic person. I feel like he would enjoy this weird arrangement that I came up with. And I hope that you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know this one was a little different, a little weird. I loved making it for you. So I just love music. I love talking about music. I love exploring music and creating these videos for you. If you want to support this channel, I do have a bass course. It's about a 2.5-hour bass course where I teach you how to play bass. I think it's a good course, and I think it would be helpful for you, and that's a way that you can help this channel out. I also have merch, and I also now have some affiliate links down there. So some of the music gear that I really like to use, if you click those links, I'd get a small commission. One last thing from editor Phil here. A lot of these 1930s cartoons, as weird and cool and creative and interesting as they are, some of them are overtly racist, and that's something that I don't want to have anything to do with on this channel, and I don't want to celebrate those things, while I do want to celebrate the creativity and the music and the love. That's all. Thanks.
Gotta go.